Hello, I'm Robert McMillan from Shoe Leather Faith, and I invite you to join me for the next 5 7-minute sessions as we deal with decision making and the will of God. Welcome to Shoe Leather Faith. My name is Robert McMillan, and I'm here for the next 7 minutes to help you learn how to make good biblical decisions. And I put some information together in this document that I'm putting on my website, shoeleatherfaith.org, and it's free for download. So please go to shoeleatherfaith.org, download this, and you'll have all the information that I'm going to be using. So let's look at it first. Making decisions and making them correctly is not a task for the weak or the unprepared. Here's a quote by Tony Robbins, who's I don't know what he is, but here's what he said. It is in the moments of your decisions that your destiny is shaped. What a lot of codswallop. But here's another statement by Roy Disney, the brother of Walt Disney. It is not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. Now, who's right? The fancy, very popular life coach, or the brother of the cartoonist? Let's look into decision making from a Christian perspective and determine if the principles by which we make those decisions are biblical or worldly. Here's another quote by Tony Robbins, and I'm not picking, yes I am picking on him, but here's another quote. Your life changes the moment you make a new, congruent, and committed decision. So, your life direction is entirely built upon the decisions you make. Stephen Covey, who wrote a book, I can't remember the name of the book, and when I do remember the name of the book, I usually get it wrong. But he wrote a book, and here's what he wrote in that book. We are the creative force of our life, and through our own decisions rather than our conditions, if we carefully learn to do certain things, we can accomplish these goals. Utter rubbish. And then William Shakespeare. You can't get out of any quoting contest without quoting William Shakespeare. Julius Caesar, Act 4, Scene 3. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. The fact that that was stated by a murderer of his best friend shouldn't be relevant. But a lot of people, Christians as well, believe that if you miss that one chance in a million, you're forever going to be lost. You'll be in the shallows and the backwaters of life. Now, many Christians buy into these errors, thinking that one decision, usually the first decision, inexorably sets the course of all of our future decisions. Let me give you an example. People are afraid to get married. Why? In case that person isn't God's best, but maybe just second best. Now those sorts of things will destroy you and keep you from making solid decisions. How do you make the right decision about who you're going to marry, where you're going to live, where you're going to work, what kind of education you're going to get? Good decisions come not from our history of decisions, but from our values. Not simply our previous decisions. Traditional view, and this is a defective view that most Christians buy into, and it's taken from Gary Frieson's book, Decision Making and the Will of God. It's kind of a long book, and it's a hard read, but it's worth reading. It's an old book, goes back about 20, 30 years. But anyway, the traditional view is the manner in which most Christians look at decision making. And here's how it works. Premise. For each of our decisions, God has a perfect plan or will. Let's call it, as Gary Friesen did, let's call it the dot. Your goal is not to miss the dot. The purpose, the goal of the believer is to discover God's individual will for a certain situation. That's the dot. And you make your decisions in accordance with it. What's the process? You as a believer, you interpret the inner impressions and the outward signs through which the Holy Spirit communicates His leading. And when you think everything's all in place, you make your decision, you make your choice, and off you go. And the proof that that's correct is that you have confirmation in that it'll give you peace, an inner peace, and an outward result that's positive. Well, I know a lot of people, the Apostle Paul included, who didn't have perfect peace. In 2 Corinthians 7:6, the Apostle Paul, he came to the Macedonian believer, he did not experience a sense of peace, but had no rest according to him, and was troubled on every side. But he made the right decision. So don't go on this inner peace stuff. It's just a lot of Tommy rot. The key to decision making, according to this view, is find the dot. But if you miss the dot, you end up for the rest of your life getting second-class treatment from God because you missed the first dot. And if you don't think that a lot of Christians believe that, you're not understanding how Christians make their decisions. Now, next time we're going to look at the way of wisdom in decision making, and then we're going to look at the dangers of bad decisions. Dangers for you, dangers for the people you love, and the cause of Christ. And then we're going to look at life strategy. The importance of having a strategy for life based upon values, and that informs all of your decisions. And then finally, our fifth session will deal with steps to making good decisions. So all of that is in this material that I'm going to put on my website, and it'll be available after you watch this first video. And you can download that and review it and follow me along in the next 4 videos after this. Until then, hit subscribe, hit the like button. That's the thumb that goes upwards, not downwards. And if you have a comment that you'd like to leave, I'd really be interested. I'll respond to them. Next time we'll continue on with this series on decision making and the will of God. And I'll be putting up on my website this document in one chapter at a time, and you can download it from my website, shoeleatherfaith.org, and follow along and take notes and everything else. And if you have any questions, put it in a comment, and I'll be happy to answer that if I can. And in the meantime, would you subscribe to this channel and like this video? Thank you very much.